Hey everyone, and welcome to Lab 2 of the semester, Facility Design and Management. Today you will take a tour of Jubilee Stables and highlight some unique characteristics of this facility. As you go, please fill out the worksheet that goes along with this lab. Enjoy!
Hey everyone, welcome to Lab 2. This is the Facility Design and Management lab. I'm here at Jubilee Stables with Sharon and Sherry, and they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves and about the facility here.
Thanks, Brandon.
No problem.
I'm Sharon Walker. This is my family farm. It's been in the family since 1901 when my great-grandfather bought it for $5,000 with all dairy equipment, all the hogs, the pigs, all the household goods, and all the farming equipment. So he made quite the deal in 1901, and it was an operating dairy farm when he first started. Then he and my great-grandmother moved into town to take care of his mother. And my grandmother was born in town. Then ultimately my parents, who got degrees from Purdue in teaching and were up around Logansport, came back to the farm and started the dairy in 1951, somewhere in there. And it was an operating dairy farm from there till 1978 when we dispersed the herd.
Okay.
So, yes.
Awesome.
And then the beginning of Jubilee started in 1977.
That was when I bought my first facility, and I met Sharon because I found her selling hay, and I started buying hay from her for my horses.
And it was also in a big snowstorm too at one point.
Yeah, that was the year of the blizzard, 77 and 78. So we had a lot of snow those years, but Sharon and I found out that we both enjoy the work around horses, and we've become fast friends doing that over many years now. And this is the only facility we run now. At one point we did have two facilities, but this is Jubilee Stables now, and we're just going to make it get better and better.
Before you go through today, we are going to tour the farm and kind of see a little bit of what they do. All right.
Okay, so you want to head on up to the barn?
Let's go.
All right.
All right. So we're in one of the barns, and Sharon's going to tell us a little bit about this barn.
This is what we call the South Barn. All the barns are directionally named. So this is south of the lane. This was the original holding area for the dairy cows before they went into the milking parlor. And then that end of the barn was the maternity ward. So what we've done is we've closed off the barns, and we have the sawdust bin over there. We have hay storage here, tap room. And then the stalls are on the outside. We cut doors in so every horse has its own run going out. They can see each other through the tops of the walls, except for the stallion, and his walls go all the way up to the top.
Can we take a walk down here a little bit?
Yeah.
See that?
This barn holds 4 horses, and then there are 2 grooming areas for the horses, and then all of our feed rooms are separated out so a horse can't get into a feed room area.
Turn that down so you can hear.
Now, if a horse did get out, they could get into the hay
Good,
and make quite the
yes.
mess.
So.
But we also, in all the stalls, have an upper latch, because horses will tend to play with these, especially when they can reach out. And then we also have a secondary latch on all of them. And when we feed at night and in the mornings, we always check to make sure all the doors are latched, so the horses are all safe. And as we walk out this way, we have 4 horses that are out front here on 2 separate lots. And this used to be where we had the calves. Part of the calves is where you're growing the dairy as they were raising up the heifers to become the dairy cows. The white fence over there was there, but it was wooden, so everything white now has been replaced with vinyl, safer for horses.
Okay.
And our fencing is, this fencing up front here is old corn crib panels. I have an old corn crib. We had a guy who was tearing down, and we got them for a deal in the steel. And now that most of the corn cribs are down, we've gone to goat panels, which are real good with fence posts every 4 feet.
Right.
So it makes it very safe for horses. And then we run a hot rope wire along the top of every fence. And if we need to, we can put a secondary one down lower, keep horses a little farther apart. They can see each other. They can touch through gates. They can touch under fences, but they can't touch over fences.
Right. definitely. So they can also interact with each other, which is really cool, especially within even looking at a welfare aspect, and as with this course and how we've designed this course, as well as the 5 freedoms are what we're looking at as well. So being able to see these differences is really cool. So
Yeah. Now the 2 horses out front, the first 2 here are Percherons. They just came in, and they are the same owner, so they're both her horses, and we like that when 2 horses on a lot, especially that are in close contact with each other and share feeding areas and hay areas and barn areas, are the same owner, because if one of them gets kicked, the owner's not as concerned about it. Those are geldings. These 2 are mares. We try to keep mares and geldings separate, just for safety sakes. When we put the geldings in there, the 2 mares were ho-hum, no big deal. So it was a very calm transition.
It's always nice.
It's always nice when it's a calm transition.
That's right. All right, well, let's check out the next barn.
Okay, let's go back through here.
All right, so we are in the next barn, so Sharon, take it away.
This is our west barn, and this was the old loafing stall for the dairy operation. It was converted from a loafing stall for free stalls for cattle to a 100 deal calf barn, and then we converted it into a barn for horses. And there are 4 stalls in here. These are probably our biggest stalls, probably 16 by 16, and they're all individual waters in this barn. We do hand water here because with overhead lines, I say hand water, we hook it up to a hose and turn it on. We don't carry buckets. Okay. But each stall again has its own paddock and runs out.
So about what
storage is here, and the feed is back behind again.
All right. So what about the sizes of these stalls? How do they compare to the other ones? Or
these are probably the stalls outside of the stallion stall. This one is these have the biggest stalls.
Okay.
But each stall is different. I mean, every barn in here has a different size stall because we built the stalls maximum width, maximum depth for the size of the barn.
Okay, very cool. Very
so these are as big as these could get. And then our aisleway here is 14 feet across, which makes a nice aisleway, so if someone has a horse out, they can get around it.
I see you got the cross ties here as well. So
we have 2 sets of cross ties, so 2 people can tack up here. Also, as compared to 2 in the other barn, we have at least 2 cross ties in every barn. In the new barn, we'll have 3 cross ties.
All right, awesome.
3 people can tack up at once.
Great. So if we walk out here, I saw you had your manure pile or your compost or whatever you want to call it. So what do you do with this, or how do you get rid of it? Or go ahead and if you can explain a little bit about that.
A local hog farmer that comes over, and he will load it up whenever we call him.
Okay.
And then he uses it to compost his dead pigs.
Really?
So he said this is the best stuff for composting the dead pigs, because it creates so much heat that when they go to scatter the manure and the dead hogs on the ground, that the bones just powder apart.
Really?
So yeah, so he loves the manure. He comes picks it up for free, so we don't have to worry about disposal.
All right, awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Our next barn is our north barn right behind you here. And this was what we call the baby calf barn and the bullpen.
Okay.
And we still have some of the original bullpen wood in here. It's going to be 2-inch popwork.
Okay.
Horses don't chew on that either. So the bullpens were down here. We had 4 of them, and we converted those 4 into 2 stalls. And then these were baby calves down here, and we converted those into 2 stalls there. And we also had baby calves fresh off a mother that were nursing in here. We'd have 12 in this section right here. So it's been a totally repurposed barn.
Yes, definitely. So.
And this again has the hay behind a gate, feed room separated out so horses can't get in. The tack room is there, and all of our tack rooms are individually locked, so one key doesn't do all of them.
Oh, interesting. So safety as well. So
safety as well, and all these doors have double latches on them too.
Awesome, and I see they all have their individual turnouts as well in this one.
Yes, every horse on this farm has its own turnout.
Very cool, very nice. So you've shown us in different, all 3 of these barns at least so far, that you have hay in a certain area, and then you've got your guys' feed rooms and kept in certain things. Go ahead and could you explain a little bit more of your safety precautions and ventilation and things like that with your feed? Sure.
Safety precaution is the hay that we get from our hay farmer is a local guy, and he makes sure our hay is the right dryness.
Okay.
It's not too wet, it's not too dry, it's not been rained on, and when he brings it in, we stack it. It's not stacked real tight, so it is a little loose, so there's some ventilation that gets in through there. The barns are very open, even in the winter time. When we close this big door here, the doors for the stalls stay open, and there is a draft that will come underneath these doors. So the barns will always do some exchange of air, so there's not a stuffiness in there. And the hay is really good. It's dry. It's not exposed to the elements at all once it gets here. Now, when you look at our feed storage, and this is true in every feed room.
Go ahead and go.
We've acquired old freezers that no longer work, and then we drop the bags of feed in here, and then that way that keeps the mice and rats out. And if we have two different kinds of feeds, then we will have either plastic with screw-on lids or metal cans that we store in. Just make sure they're kept very dry, and the feed is always rotated out. So we always have fresh feed coming in.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, so as we're walking to this new barn, what do we got going on right here?
Well, this is our latest addition to our stalls. This is an individual lot with an individual stall that right now my horse is going in because he has got some lameness issues going on. He's restricted for activity and extra cushion. But this, if we have a horse that needs, quote, hospital care, they need to have a little more attention. But this is the stall they'll go into because they're in here by themselves, not close to any other horses, and it keeps them a little calmer.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, this is an interesting sign. So
it's because when you come into this area, the sound is so bouncing off things that people inside can't hear you coming, even if you're walking up on the gravel. So we've asked people to announce themselves as they're getting close to the door, horse coming.
Oh,
so the horse inside doesn't get scared.
Makes sense.
And then we're going to have another sign down there, so as you walk around the end of the barn, if they're on the outdoor arena, you announce again, horse coming, even if you don't have a horse. You still announce yourself so that they know someone's coming.
There you go, awesome. Well, can you show us inside?
So as we walk in, this is our passage door coming in. And the base here is agricultural, what they call agricultural sand or agricultural rock. It's a heavier stone sand of like ag lime, only it's a stone. And it's the horses and the riders really like it. It's very cushioned. The barn is 200 feet long and 60 feet wide, which is almost the size of a full-size dressage arena, very close. And then we have halogen lights that light this place up really nice at night in the dark. Plus we have the windows, clear panels on the top. So even in the early dusk evenings, it's still very light. We have great ventilation. We have a west door open and we have an east door open. Then we have the north to south door, so there's a good crosswind coming here.
Great. It's fantastic. So it's always nice to have a place to ride when it's raining.
And Jerry?
It's less dusty.
It's less dusty.
Less dusty. There you go. So when it does get a little dusty, is there any kind of watering system that you guys do, or?
We put on calcium chloride, and it pulls the moisture out of the air.
Or we can water it with,
and we can sprinkle it
with a sprinkler on the gator.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Awesome. So back here, are there more stalls back here? Is that what it looks like? All right, let's check it out.
We can go through. This is like a little home tour, isn't it? And you see we have mounting blocks. This is for the short horses, and that one over there is for the pertrons. It's a 4-stepper.
There you go.
Leave it.
This is the work in progress.
This is a work in progress. It's a little crowded with stuff, but not as crowded as it was. We put a lot of stuff up in the meantime. We have 6 stalls. They're in pairs. There's 2 here. We skip 2 and then skip and go 2 more. So here we have a bathroom, a wash rack first. Then we have our 2 stalls, and they're busy installing the waterers. They started on those today.
Excuse me.
And this is a barn where we're using the Nelson waterers for the first time, and really like the way they operated, and easy to clean, and there's only one pipe that comes up, and it's on one side of the wall. So they don't share water.
Okay.
But they share a water line.
Right.
Okay. So that makes it real good. And on these, there'll be the goat panels on the back side.
Okay.
So the horses can't reach out here, and they'll have a matching gate that'll have cross hatches like was in the west barn. The door, like in the west barn, it had the cross hatches on it, and then we'll have stall guards up.
Okay. Awesome. Well, very cool.
And then we have a tack ring, the hay storage, and the hay storage will eventually have 2 gates on the front of it.
Okay.
So again, horses can't get in there. And then the next one is the feed room, and that will have a door on it. And then the next one is the sawdust bin, and then we have the 2 stalls at the end.
All right.
And then that door opens, and you can go directly out into the outdoor arena.
And we did the placement of the stalls so that we could have more room for paddocks.
Okay.
Because that way-
Maximum width for
Yeah,
all the
right.
paddocks.
maximum
Awesome,
width
that's
for
great.
paddocks.
Now, you kind of talked a little bit about, you said you have a spot for bedding and things like that. What kind of bedding do you use, and where do you get that from?
We use, right now we're currently using sawdust, and it's not a dust, it's more of a shavings. And we get it from Brucheville, it's a lumber mill over there.
Okay.
And they keep their sawdust inside, it's covered. So when they pick it up and load it for us, they bring it over here, and then we immediately push it inside. So the sawdust is dried to start with. And it's more of more shavings than it is sawdust.
All right, awesome.
And then you want to walk out here and
Sure.
check out the fence, because this is the new fence that just got installed. We're in the process of painting door frames. This fence was just put in Labor Day. 31 posts in case you want to count.
There you go.
And the goat painters are 16 feet, and we fasten them together with cable clamps. And then we staple them to the wall, to the post, with 5 staples, and then we'll wrap them with high tensile zip ties
Okay.
for
And
safety
then
to keep them on.
And you'll have the electric wire running as well?
We have electric wire across the top to
Rope
start
braid.
with, rope braid.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're so very welcome.
All right.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah. All right, so we've reached the close of our tour. Thank you guys very much for having us out here. The students, I'm sure, will love your facility, as we always do. So
You're welcome,
yeah,
Brandon.
thank you for your time. So thanks
Thank
very
you,
much.
Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
Been
It
a
was
pleasure.
good seeing y'all. Come back anytime.
Come see us.
Okay, so now that you guys have completed the tour and have seen what Jubilee looks like from the ground, we're actually going to take you on a quick aerial tour of the facility and highlight some things that we would like to point out on the farm. So as we go up over this 160-acre facility, you guys can see out front that they have those 2 pastures with the lean-to for shelter for their outside borders. One thing that they really mentioned was that they try and keep mares and geldings separate, which is a good practice really for any kind of facility overall. Now for the other horses, when you guys look around when we're going up, you can see that each of the other horses have their own individual runout, which is something that Sharon mentioned on our tour and is very unique to this facility. Now as we come back down, you can see a better view of each individual runout for the horses and for each barn. As Sharon mentioned, most fencing was made from corn crib panel or goat panels with wooden posts that are spaced about 4 feet apart to help with the stability. Also, you guys can notice most of these fences have at least 1 string of electric braided rope to help with avoid horses from leaning on the fences and ruining the fence and things like that as well. Another thing to notice overall about this facility is the welfare and looking at welfare and how that impacts these horses in everyday life. One thing that we've done with this course is to look more into the 5 freedoms, and right now we're looking at the freedom of discomfort and freedom to express normal behaviors. So if we start with those ones, we can see for the freedom of discomfort, all these animals look pretty content. They're happy. Their stalls are always clean. They each have their individual runouts like you see, and they're pretty happy. So that one covers pretty well. So they get a check for that. The second one with the freedom to express normal behaviors, as you guys can see here, the horses are still able to interact with one another. They can see they are exhibiting these normal behaviors. They're not secluded completely, and that's a really good bonus, and a lot of people struggle with that, and we see that in a lot of places.
If we keep going down the list, the freedom from hunger and thirst, as Sharon mentioned, as you guys see, there's hay available to them at all times, as well as water in each individual stall. The next one we can talk about would be freedom from injury and disease. And one thing that we can really highlight with this facility is that they have multiple barns. And in these multiple barns, they actually have different pitchforks and things like that to use. So it actually will hop or stop spread disease, or if they have horses that might get sick or things like that, it might stay in that barn and they're not spreading it from barn to barn, which is also a major bonus. And the last one would be the freedom of fear and distress. And a lot of times this one can be difficult because we see this as more of a human-induced more than their environment. But as you saw when we went through the tour, the horses were very attentive and pretty content in coming up to you while we were in the barns. There was very little distress, and that's something that you really want to see with this one. Now, as we move into the new barn and the new arena, one thing that I really just want to highlight with this is how they maintain their dust in this new indoor arena. Sharon mentioned that they use a calcium chloride to help keep the dust down, which can be very expensive at first, but it lasts a long time, and it's very good about keeping dust down. Now, with this as well, you still can do normal watering and add in a watering system if you'd like. That's just something that they either have not done with this barn yet, since it's so new, or something that they just decided not to do overall. Moving into the new barn, you guys can see the work in progress. All 6 stalls are made of Duraplate for the horses' safety, but they'll still be able to interact with horses outside in their paddocks, and then they can also see out their doors as well. Along with that, each individual stall also has a layer of sandstone underneath the stall mats that you guys can see right there. And then over the stall mats, they will fill with shavings for the horse's maximum comfort. In between, you see there'll be a place to store their hay that they're actually going to have a gate across, like Sharon said, and this is what's going to be their new tack room as well. There's some more stalls along here, and as you see when we go through here, you'll see kind of the size of the stalls a little bit, and then they'll be able to come out through here, and their paddock will be individual rows as well once this is all complete. If you look along the fence line, you can get a better visual of what the goat panel looks like. Again, there's the wooden posts that are about 4 feet apart, and then the goat panel in between, again, to help with the stability as well. As we work our way back past the barns, you can see the outdoor arena is made up of the same agricultural sand or agricultural rock as the indoor arena. If we keep going and we keep following this path back to the woods, trails have actually been created for relaxing trail rides and to provide more places for the boarders to ride. Once we go up, you'll be able to see where the woods kind of extends over and to the left, and it actually wraps right back around over to the barn. So as we head back towards Jubilee stables, we can really get a good view of all the different barns, and we can see the pasture layout. Again, in the front 2 pastures, we have the 2 geldings and the 2 mares that are out all the time. And then in the south barn there, we have 4 different stalls with the 4 runouts. And when we come over to the west barn, we see that that one has 4 stalls. Moving to the north barn, that one actually has 5 stalls with 4 runouts. The one stall was actually split into 2 for now, and then in the new barn we're going to have 6 stalls. So they have quite a bit of space for different horses and availability. As we are ending our time here at Jubilee, we're just going to take one quick scope through the different barns at an eye level just to get you guys a better feel of what the facilities actually looks like. Alright, so as we make our final lap over the horses, this will conclude our facility design and management lab here at Jubilee Stables. Make sure to answer all the questions on your worksheet and submit it to Blackboard. Have a great week.